So are we supposed to start the podcast?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to America's Top DEI podcast starring Angela D. Beavers. Beaver. Are you plural or you're singular?
Singular.
Beaver.
I'm just one beaver.
Yeah, that's right. Angie, what have you had it with? Miss Beaver, if you're nasty. What have you had it with? 80s children will know that reference if you're nasty.
If you're nasty.
Uh-huh.
Okay, what I've had it with is when you run into the grocery store and you just have to get like 1 or 2, 3 things. You go to the express line and it clearly says 15 items or less in this line. And then you have some motherfucker pull up with the whole basket, which I can just casually glance. And I know there's 50 items in his basket. They are cheaters. They're frauds. They need to get in the long lane and leave the express lane out of it. I think it's so rude. And here's the thing. The checker, I've never seen somebody say, you have too many items for this lane. We need some cooperation with the checker to say, I'm sorry, you're trying to skirt the system. This is the express lane. You have too many items. Back up, go somewhere else. I've had it.
I've seen a checker call somebody out before.
Have you?
Yes. I do the self-checkout most of the time now because it's less interaction.
Right.
And I have the utmost respect for any checker. Sometimes you can fall prey to idle chit-chat with fellow people in line, and I want to avoid that. So the self-checkout is my go-to. But years ago, I think I was at a Target, which I know we're boycotting Target now, and I'm happy to boycott Target for their moral duplicity. However, I remember this checkout girl saying, you've got about 10 items too many here. You're going to have to haul it right over here. Of course, it was a black lady because black women, are the best at taking care of everything.
I love that. That makes me happy because I really wanted this woman to bow up and she didn't. She just let it slide. So I just went to the self-checkout. I was just like, fuck it. I'm not going to do this.
All right. I've had it with the war on science.
Yeah, that's bad.
The amount of people in the United States that probably haven't had a science class since high school that then get on the internet and act as though they're scientists or they know more than scientists, particularly when it comes to vaccines and the environment. It's just baffling to me. And I can't understand. Like, I don't really know that much about science, so I defer to the scientists. And the amount of people that just go and state their own scientific theories with zero research, zero scientific team, other than just a thought they had. And then they just start freeballing out on the internet. And I just think we are living in the stupid era. This is the stupid era. We used to value facts and value expertise, and the diminishing respect of expertise really bothers me. And you see it from the top of the government trickled all the way down to these goddamn triple Trumpers, and they're the worst. These guys act like they have a PhD in virology, and they fucking don't. And now you've got measles out the wazoo, and dipshit Marjorie Taylor Greene suggested that people throw measles parties to infect. Yes, she did, to infect children so that they would get immunity. Can you imagine what a stupid idea that is from a stupid person who doesn't know anything about science? And like, people die from measles.
Which goes back to, we need people to feel shame. And this particular group of people does not feel shame. I mean, they think they know everything and they are so smart.
Yeah, they feel shame all of a sudden when they lose their job.
Right.
Or somebody they know and they love has been injured by or harmed by all of these policies. But I mean, it's keyboard courage out the wazoo until then. And then when it impacts them, their taxes are going to go up. People they know are losing their jobs. Their health care could be in a precarious situation. They're all about, let's support our troops. Trump's firing, 80,000 troops, veterans, et cetera. I mean, just annihilating the Department of Defense. And it amazes me that the people who claim to have the most moral stance in the country are always the ugliest right below that veneer. I mean,
Yes.
just downright unattractive and ugly. And for all of our listeners that are blue dots in red states, you see this on full display all of the time. This Stepford wife friendliness. And, oh, hi, hun. How you doing? And then right below it, just racism and just abject stupidity.
And meanness.
Yes.
Mean. Okay, do you remember when, like a few years ago, there were a couple of athletes that were like, the earth is flat? And it was just like, then people started like piling on, like, yeah, the earth is flat. And I just thought, these people are so stupid. They are so stupid. But it's like it's exploded. Like everybody that has a stupid theory, they can find people to be stupid with them. And then they just want to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I don't understand, like, facts are one of those things, like you can accept them and then you move on. And maybe you might not like the results of a fact, like that the earth is round and rotates around the sun, but that is what it is. And every expert agrees that that's exactly what's happening. And the fact that somebody would want to fight something that is so verifiably proven. It's so easy to prove. Like, I remember when Donald Trump would fight about his inauguration, his first
size.
one. Yeah. And he would fight. It was the largest crowd size. It was the largest crowd size ever. And he kept going on about it for months. And he sent that pink arm Sean Spicer out there. And, he had a conniption fit. And it's just, all you have to do is put up one photograph of Trump's, which is like limp dick. And then you put up one photograph of Barack Obama's, which is one of your favorite things, hard rock cock.
Hard rock cock.
And the crowd size is just, it's verifiable in 2.5 seconds. And I guess another thing that amazes me is that, like, you would want to die on a hill for Donald Trump.
Right. Well, what's so interesting about it is because of Donald Trump and the way he has carried himself, we'll say that, he has told people for so long, don't believe your eyes. Don't believe what you see. Don't believe what you know. Believe what I tell you. And the fact that they do, I mean, that's full on cult leadership. That's like, Jennifer's wearing a black sweater. I see it. But Donald Trump tells me it's red. And so I just blindly say it's red. And they just have zero ability to think for themselves anymore. They can't look at the facts. They can't look at a picture and say, they have to say, oh, it's fake news. It's AI. It's the deep state, all that shit. And so they no longer recognize facts exist unless they come from him. And that is a scary situation because, as we all know, he's not smart.
He really isn't.
No.
And he's such a failure. Like, it's amazing to me, the juxtaposition of somebody who is such a massive failure that ascended to such a successful position, the juxtaposition of those two things. Like, take away his trust fund that he inherited, $500 million, and take away the white privilege. This guy would have been incarcerated a long time ago, bankrupt, probably dead. And he's able to mitigate all of that in the juxtaposition of what a failure he's been in everything. But again, back to the American public being so stupid that they think if somebody has money, regardless of how that money was attained, if they have money, then they are successful and they must be good people, like Elon Musk. Like, the worship of him is bizarre. And then that everybody just believes that he's smart without doing any research about it. He did not invent Tesla. He did not invent Starlink. He is a taxpayer-funded billionaire. American taxpayers made him the wealth that he has. He would never have been able to do it without being subsidized by the American taxpayers. And it's just wild, the Elon worship. And then when you see him in an interview, I'm like, that guy doesn't seem smart and certainly doesn't seem likable at all.
Well, at least they say Donald Trump has charisma, because Elon Musk has no charisma. But I was going to say, just back to the Donald Trump point, The Apprentice is what kept him from being dead ass broke back in the day. And then this is how dumb some Americans are. They think that they see him on television doing that he's a great businessman, because every single fact is to the contrary. I mean, The Apprentice was basically a lie down to the set because his office was a dump truck. The only thing he ever did successfully was The Apprentice.
You know, there's a lot of juicy tidbits that came out of that. Like a lot of people that worked on The Apprentice said he's undoubtedly a racist, drops the N-word all the time. But most importantly, that he snorts Adderall and then poops his diaper all the time, and that he stunk to high heaven. And it's source after source after source. And can you imagine like all of these alpha males, like what's his name? Zuckerberg. Remember he said he didn't want to feel neutered at work,
right?
Which is such a bizarre thing to say. That he thinks masculinity is a man that shits his pants.
With bad makeup.
Yeah.
Terrible makeup.
It's crazy. Welcome to I've Had It, America's Top DEI podcast. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Angie.
She is Miss Beaver if you're nasty.
Miss Beaver, I'm going to start saying that. Miss Beaver if you're nasty.
Miss Beaver if you're nasty. Okay, I have a couple of articles. Number one, research shows that taking women's advice leads to better decisions. Men who seek advice from women tend to make smarter financial and personal decisions, and science backs it up. A study in the Harvard Business Review found that women analyze more factors, assess risks differently, and prioritize long-term success, making their advice incredibly valuable in both business and life. Well, looky-loo.
Little data came out proving the point, which we've always said. If there were more women at the top, there'd be a lot less of all these other problems we're having, like in corporations, like sexual harassment, getting rid of DEI, hostile work environment, all of these things. If they would have just had a woman come in for a different perspective, we'd be far, far down the trail. But instead, we're going backwards.
Yeah, I think that having women on shareholder boards and in positions of power in government is incredibly, incredibly helpful. Now, of course, there are always some women that you're like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Margaret Thatcher,
Lauren Boebert, or as you like to say, Lauren Boebert.
And I was just thinking about the French spelling, but also Margaret Thatcher. You know, she was one of the first women to ascend to such a high position. And she was a real, kind of like Reagan, demonized the poor, privatized everything. And a lot of the issues that still exist in the UK right now are because of Margaret Thatcher. So there is always a caveat and always an exception to this. But I think by and large, look at Mexico, Sheinbaum. She's amazing, incredible. And I think that when you have groups of white men in charge of things, a lot of shit happens.
Right. A lot of bad ideas are put into action.
And a lot of crimes.
A lot, especially if your last name's Trump.
Yeah. Or, I mean, just look at the Catholic Church. Look at the Boy Scouts. Look at that, you know, the Ohio wrestling team, the Penn State football team. You know, it's just.
Right. Where were the women?
When you have a woman, there's a moderating moral force in that space. And I think that we should have listened to Hillary and Kamala. And that just makes me so sad, because instead of everybody facing an incoming recession, which is coming, stock market is in a free fall. Vladimir Putin's basically on the inside of the government because people just wouldn't listen to women. No. And at the end of the day, as much as we've tried so hard, America is just really, really sexist.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And here's the thing. Women, especially our age group, have internalized misogyny where they don't even realize it, but and a lot of that I think comes from the church and the Bible. Women submit to their husbands. Men are the head of the household.
Yeah,
and they're super in that. And so they don't even realize they're doing it, but they absolutely are.
Yeah. Okay. One more story. Teachers are witnessing a disturbing rise in misogyny in schools. Teachers are sounding the alarm of rising misogyny in schools. A new study finds that 76% of secondary and 60% of primary school teachers are extremely concerned about boys absorbing toxic views from influencers like Andrew Tate. Some students openly justify harming women while girls report feeling unsafe at school. This is really a big, big thing.
Yeah.
Young boys and young men are getting horrible information online, and you have them listening to Joe Rogan, you have them listening to Peter Thiel and worshiping this type of misogynist, capitalistic worldview that is very anti-democratic and very anti-equitable for the genders. And of course, there's no space for anybody who wouldn't fit into a binary system.
Right.
And I have 2 boys and you have 2 boys. And I talk to my boys, I would say at least probably twice a month about what type of information they're consuming. Because I see that I have, as the primary female in their lives right now, that I have a massive responsibility to do check-ins with them because of the rising misogyny, and to talk about what they're viewing and what is out on the internet right now. Because sometimes I think human beings like settle into a default setting, or they're broken and they find some sort of fucked up toxic comfort in that type of space. And I always do check-ins with my boys to make sure that they're okay, because one's 18, one's 22. And that's like prime age, prime testosterone. And I would just feel like an absolute abject failure if my kids watched or consumed any of that. And then just to do a check, I go and check who they're following online. And I check, like, are they following Barstool Sports? Are they following Joe Rogan? Are they following any of these, oligarchs? And they aren't. And that makes me so incredibly happy, because I want them, I believe the purest form of masculinity is standing up for everybody and putting their needs before your own.
Absolutely. Because white men have much more privilege than any other group. And the fact that they are so young now being taught that women are less than, and that it's okay to browbeat women, and it's okay to be mean to gay people, and it's okay to be racist. I mean, that is just a whole level of hate and cruelty that has come straight out of the internet, and it feeds on those algorithms.
Kylie.
Yes.
I kind of did it out of order.
That's okay.
I know you're probably like, what's she doing? And listener, I forgot. I went straight to the news stories. And I abandoned Catherine. Catherine is here today. Catherine.
Hello. I'll do a quick read of some reviews for you.
Okay, first of all, how are things going in the lesbian corner of the world?
They're going pretty good. Things are all right.
Okay. Lesbians okay?
Yeah. We're holding strong.
All right.
Okay. This one is 5 stars. And they write, they put the DEI in dementia.
That's a touche. That is so good. That's really, really, that is a troll that I can get behind. That is so good.
Was that so loud in your ear, you guys? I'm so sorry. I just couldn't help it. Oh my God, that was great.
Okay, this one is 5 stars. This show has all the petty laughs you need with just a touch of doom and gloom. It's where irate observation and pure dipsticks intersect to create the mental oasis we all need in Trump's America. Thanks, lovely ladies.
I love it.
What's the title say? It's for beauties and Meemaw. So are you two the beauties, and I'm the Meemaw?
It's got to be.
Got to be.
All right. Okay, listen up, listener. Today we have a guest. She is host of the Comment Section podcast and author of the New York Times best-selling book, Loud. Drew Afualo. Kylie? Afualo. Drew Afualo. It's spelled Afuall. Drew. See, and I'm glad that she did the review where it covered that the DEI
is for dementia.
DEI podcast stands for dementia.
Right. So Drew won't be offended. She'll understand.
My dogs are very picky eaters. Tubby and Cha-Cha are always incredibly skeptic about food. But ever since I switched to Spot and Tango, they are as happy as they've ever been. Listener, Spot and Tango is a personalized dog food subscription that delivers high-quality, ready-to-serve meals, snacks, and supplements right to your door, so no more last-minute pet store runs. Most kibble is packed with fillers and mystery ingredients. Who knows what's really in it? But Spot and Tango does things differently. Their unkibble meals are made with human-grade ingredients, including USDA meats, fruits, and veggies. Spot and Tego's Unkibble creates a custom plan based on your dog's age, breed, weight, and activity level. So you know that your little darlings are getting exactly what they need. Plus, the easy-to-use scoop makes portioning so simple. Listeners, Spot and Tango is offering an exclusive deal for our listeners for a limited time. Go to spotandtango.com/hadit and use code HADIT to get 50% off your first order. That's spotandtango.com/hadit, code HADIT to get 50% off your first order. spotandtango.com/hadit, code HADIT. This episode of I've Had It is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Companies and affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations. All right, let's welcome to I've Had It, Drew. Drew, pronounce your last name for us. We had a dementia moment trying to pronounce it before you came on.
It's all right. It's Afualo.
Afualo. Okay, you call out misogynists online. Is that right?
I sure do.
I love that. We need more of that, especially in Trump's America.
I think. And I've been doing it well before he went into office the second time, so...
And let me ask you this: do you then get a lot of misogynists that pile on?
Oh yeah. They have my face on wanted posters in those like maidenless bitch meetings they have where they like, recite a creed of how much they're gonna die alone. They typically go over how much they hate me. Like they truly dislike me to a level that is concerning, but that's okay because I don't care.
Right.
It's
okay.
all right.
Can we go back to what meetings?
Oh, I just think that they have meetings for men who get no pussy, I guess is my point. Like AA, but for
men that will never have sex with a woman. Got it.
Right.
I love that. She's just, Drew, you're just right up my alley. I love to talk about men that give off little dick energy. I like to talk about men that drive Cybertrucks and big, huge truck with wheels because I know their dicks are small because they wouldn't have those cars. It's so obvious. I'm already so happy.
All right, Drew, what have you had it with?
Oh, what have I had it with? I am really tired. Oh, this was one recently that I revisited, but I've really had it with British people getting mad at me that I don't like British food. I'm really sick of them getting pissed off at me. It's objectively terrible, and I think thousands of people can't be wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's my personal philosophy.
So
anyway.
Do you go to London a lot?
I've been to London before, and when I was there, I was really excited to try it because I was thinking it was going to be like a Thanksgiving dinner where it's like a lot of things that shouldn't make sense but do. But turns out they just eat like it's still the Cold War. So I hate that personally.
Okay. And then you have talked about not having it with places that don't have central air conditioning.
Right. Yes. Which is all of Europe. And I think they need to fix that. I think they should. I think we're not in the French Revolution, so it's okay if we have central AC.
Okay. I have a counter idea about this.
Sure.
So when I'm in Europe for longer than probably like 12 days and I get acclimated to the air conditioning not being 62 degrees blowing on you where you're freezing your tits off in August inside. I get acclimated to it and then I quite like it. And then when I come back home and it's August, it's 110 degrees outside. And then I go into a store or a restaurant and I have to have a sweater because it's so fucking cold. And then I think, oh my God, like we are out of control with the air conditioner. I think we're completely excessive about it.
Well, yeah, that's true. But if we don't take care of the environment, then we need to have the air on. in my opinion. Like, if you don't believe in climate change, go and blast that air for me, King. You know what I mean?
If we're going to burn it down, let's just burn it down.
If you're already planning on burning it down, I'm going to need the AC, because then it's going to be 100 degrees 365 days of the year. You know what I mean? And I also think too, maybe it's like a genetic thing, because I'm a sweaty girl. Even though I love the summer, I like prefer heat over cold. I'm still far more a sweater than I am like someone who's cold naturally. So it's a selfish thing purely. I'll admit that for sure. I just hate being hot. But I just really don't like that all of Europe they don't believe in escalators or elevators very often. And then if they do have elevators, they're like ones that are on pulleys still, which is crazy. And then they don't have central AC either.
Where are you going in Europe where you're not finding elevators?
Well, I've been to Paris. I went to Paris too. And they do have them. They're just ancient and can hold one person at a time.
They're tiny.
And they're so small. Like, and I'm a big girl. I'm a big body girl, you know? So maybe this is just me being too large for anywhere in Europe. Maybe that's the issue.
Yeah. It's shocking when you first go, because in America, everything's so spread out. Everything's so big. The cars are big. Parking lots are big. All the spaces are gigantic. When you go out to dine, there's a lot of space between you and the next table. And then you get to Europe and it's like everything is the size of a postage stamp, and it's really jarring at first. I remember growing up in the 80s as a child in the Reagan era, and there was really a lot of taught nationalism that I wasn't really privy to, because it was just taught to me. USA is great. Capitalism is great. Ronald Reagan is great. And then when I was in high school, I went to Europe. And I had always been told that we were the greatest place in the world, that basically in my stupid ethnocentric American mind, I thought every other place outside of America, my 14-year-old self thought was just some shithole.
Right.
So I arrive in Germany. My sister lived there. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so beautiful here. And they have all of the modern amenities the same as we do. And it was a very shocking thing, because I'd been so indoctrinated in United States public schools to think that we were the best and we were so elite and we were so exceptional. And it was just bullshit.
Yeah. And I think people of color have known that for a while.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like how much this country is not the greatest and hasn't been for a very, very long time.
And that's another part of the problem. I went to a high school with 2,000 people and maybe 15 were Black. And I graduated in 1992. So no diversity at all. No exposure to what the Black experience was like compared to my white experience. And there was no, we grew up in Oklahoma and we were not taught in public schools about the Tulsa race riots. Can you believe that? In our state, we were not. I did not find out about that till I was an adult, and Tulsa's an hour and a half away from us. Yeah, it's shocking. It really is. It's what we've been privy to learning, or forced to learn, or indoctrinated with, I would say, as opposed to what we've been kept out of the loop on, is really upsetting. But I think that's why I tell people a lot of times when I talk about misogyny and bigotry as a whole, and how I talk about how most, if not all, forms of bigotry or prejudice are based in, like, they all lead back to the same center point, which is white supremacy, including fat phobia, transphobia, homophobia, misogyny, all of the phobias that you could possibly think of all lead back to the same center point, which is white supremacy. Part of instilling white supremacy and indoctrinating people into the idea to believe in, buy into, and uphold and continue to uplift white supremacy is the purposeful leaving out of certain information and historical facts that would give us a different perspective. So I tell people all the time, if you really, really, really think about it and you really unpack it for what it is and all of your internalized biases, you can release yourself. Once you learn anything that you've learned, you can easily unlearn. So I truly talk about that a lot because I think it's important. And I think sometimes, because I make silly jokes on the internet and tell men to suck my wiener, a lot of times people think I'm stupid and don't know these things, or they think that it's nothing more than jokes. Like, they think misogyny is nothing more than jokes. So misogyny is just a fucking joke. I just told a joke and now you're mad at me. But they're not just jokes, are they? They go so much deeper and so much further than you could possibly imagine. But if you're someone who hasn't unpacked any of that, or
expose yourself to it in any way, shape, or form, as uncomfortable as it may be, especially as white people, then of course you would think that it's nothing more than a joke, right? But I think that's another reason why people like me have been able to garner a platform, is because I've been able to amplify that kind of messaging in a way that's palatable to younger people, especially. I sometimes talk about my platform as like a pill and cheese when you're giving it to your dog. It's like, however you learn the information, if it's through humor, I love that. You know what I mean? But please don't stop with me, is what I always tell people. If you really want to learn how to be a better ally, a better activist, a better person, just in general, because I truly think information makes you a better person overall, and learning how to be a better ally in many different ways makes you a better person, then please don't stop with me. Like, I am but a dickhead on the internet. Please keep going and please learn more past me.
And don't you think that you said that people will say, oh, I'm just joking, that is a classic move of abusers to
Absolutely
to abuse you and insult you. And then when you defend yourself or stand up for yourself or call it out, then they minimize your attempt to fight for yourself. And I think that is at the epicenter of white supremacy and of the whole MAGA movement. It is
absolutely.
Anytime you criticize anything they do, they diminish you and, oh, you called us a racist, or, oh, you're virtue signaling. They have about 4 or 5 go-tos that they can, or you're a libtard. And they go to these 4 to 5 little moves. But I think it's such the sign of an abuser when they minimize your feelings when you're standing up for yourself. I'll tell you, oh, that wasn't a big deal. I think that is just such pervasive abuse that happens to women and minorities and marginalized groups all the time. You see that on the internet.
Totally. And it's oppression more than anything, right? Yeah. So it's like, for me, I'm not someone who handles bigots the way that other people do. Some people want to do it in a way that's like, I want to talk with you. I want to debate with you. I want to exchange ideals. That's not how I roll. How you approach me is how I approach you. That's how I determine respect given, and not just, if I'm not receiving it, I'm sure as fuck not going to give it. So when I approach bigots, I'm mean as fuck, times a million. Whatever they did, I double it and give it to the next person. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, when speaking to your oppressor, you got to speak in a language they understand. A lot of times it's violence, whether that's verbally, physically, spiritually, whatever it may be. And that's the route I choose personally. Now, does everybody have to choose that route? No. You could do whatever makes you feel great. But I'm not going to yuck anyone else's yum. So if they want to love on oppressors, they want to love on bigots, by all means, do it away from me. If you want to be mean and receive that kind of like treatment, where it's like being nice to you or hearing you out or hearing your side, your perspective, I would suggest being mean to people like that and not me. That's not how I handle it. And I've made that very clear.
This is kind of what we have another podcast called iHip News, which is political. And I'm ready to enter, for progressive people, to enter the fuck you politics era. Yeah. I think that we're in a post decency world, sadly, but it's where we are. And that's what this moment requires. It requires for us to say, you don't want to stand up for all Americans. Fuck you. That's what we're going to do. I think you're a piece of shit, but you're lucky because my vote encompasses that policies will factor everyone in. But personally, I think you're a piece of shit and I want nothing to do with you. But my vote protects you because I'm not as big a piece of shit that you are. And I wish that Democratic politicians would start sharpening this type of language and not move to the center, because I think this is a moment. This is a historical moment where people like you, based on what you said, what you look like, are going to feel this and feel the fear and feel the anxiety more than somebody who looks like Pumps or me. And you, as white women, we have a choice. We can be allies with people and we can try to learn and we can try to understand the history of this country and we can try to fight for everybody's kids. Or we can be pieces of shit that submit to our husbands and make sure that he's in a great tax bracket because we're fiscally conservative. I'm fiscally conservative. My hairdresser's gay. But I mean, I'm fine with that, but I'm fiscally conservative, so we vote for Trump. And I just want to go, fuck you, Carol. Fuck you.
Speaking of shit I'm tired of, I'm tired of Trump supporters trying to be like, why can't we be friends? You know good and goddamn well why I won't be your fucking friend. You know exactly why I'm not going to be your goddamn fucking friend. You know why, I know why. Quit wasting my fucking time. That's how I feel. I don't want friends like that. What the fuck? Like, what's crazy to me is people who want to sit on the fence like a fucking coward and say like, well, I don't know. I just think there's bad. People who say shit like that are cowards. Like, they're people who are unwilling to pick one side. And to me, you don't deserve my respect, let alone my friendship, if that's how you personally feel. So I think that's another reason why people like me, because I'm a real black and white kind of bitch when it comes to shit like that. I'm like, after the election, I was truly shocked how many women were like, I can't believe that you don't like Trump support. What the fuck? Like, everything you know about me? Like, that's crazy. My entire livelihood's political. I have no choice but to live politically. I have no choice. It's been thrust upon me, unfortunately, right? For me. So unfortunately, but fortunately, I guess it depends.
I think the most insidious and harmful forms of racism are the silent acquiescence, where people know, and they know that somebody is overtly racist, and they go along with it and just don't bring it up and pretend like that racism doesn't exist. And they provide a permission structure, especially if the racist knows that you're progressive and knows that you're open-minded. And then you allow space for them in your life, knowing that they hold those views. I think that is a really dangerous, insidious form of racism. And I think the person that enables it holds closet racism themselves that they're not ready to reconcile. And living in a red state, I see this quite a bit. And I see this as particularly with white women and homophobia. And it really bugs the shit out of me that a lot of women that I know claim to care about LGBTQ plus rights, claim they're not racist, but they're triple Trumpers. Every goddamn time they could vote, they did it.
And I think that people like that, I think racism or homophobia starts and stops with slurs. I think they think that's what it is. They're like, oh, I don't say the slur, so obviously I'm not a racist. Right. Racism is a systemic structure. They're not words. Just like homophobia is a systemic oppressive structure. It's not words. And I think that's where they think the line is drawn. Like, they're like, well, I don't say the words. That doesn't mean you're not a racist, and that doesn't mean you're not a homophobe. And that's another thing why they think, oh, everything's racist. You're right, it is. You're right. Actually, what's crazy is you're right there. You're so close. Just go a little bit further. That's how I feel about people like that. You're so close. You're right there. Oh my God, you're so close. And that's why I think too, outright bigots who like say the slurs, wear the Confederate flags, vote for Trump, the dumbest people alive. At least people like that are honest. They're wearing it for you to see. At least they're honest. That's the only fucking thing I will give them, is that you're being honest about who the fuck you are, which is a terrible person. Got it. Locked away, right? You're not sitting here trying to debate with me about why you're not a bad person. You just think you're better than everyone, which is shocking to me because your IQ is a double digit. Shocking. Go die alone, right? With other people who sit in that pocket that you were talking about, I've also said this, it kind of parallels what I've said about misogynists too, where I've said there are men who are like, fat, ugly bitch. And I'm like, okay, clearly a misogynist, right? Clearly he's marked, it's on his forehead. It's very obvious. Men who say things like, I just want to take you out of that masculine era and put you in your feminine era. That guy's also a misogynist, but he's a lot different. He moves a lot differently than the other ones. So he can sneak his way into women's lives a lot easier. A smart misogynist is a lot more dangerous than a stupid one. They're all stupid in my opinion, but there are some that are smarter than others. And I think it translates the same to all facets of bigotry. It's like, well, I'm not that bad, so clearly I'm not bad. Wrong. You're still bad.
I think the most common form of misogyny that goes unchecked is when people say, I'm traditional. Right. Or the woman will say, my husband's very traditional. And that is inherently puts you in a role where you're subservient to him, where you do the laundry, you do the dishes. And I think for all of our young listeners, if a man says to you, I am traditional equals sexist, misogynist, homophobic, all the stuff. Some might say Homes.com is the best home shopping site. Could it be because it has a sleek, spam-free site? or the most in-depth school info? Homes.com knows every parent wants the best for their kids, so they're the only ones with school and district details and reviews from multiple sources, including niche. It may be Homes.com's super comprehensive and transparent agent directory, or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com has 22 data visualization layers, 7 environmental layers, and allows you to search by commute and architectural factors. It's the home search you've been searching for. Go to Homes.com today for home shopping the way it should be. Homes.com, we've done your homework. I cannot impress upon you and the listener how much I value sleep. And if I don't get sleep, I can feel completely hungover despite having had 0 to drink. That's why I am so happy to share with you all Calm. Calm is the #1 app for sleep and meditation, giving you the power to calm your mind and change your life.
What is so great about Calm is when I'm feeling super anxious, it will take me through a guided meditation to recenter myself, and it brings me back to a place of serenity.
There are also expert-led talks to help you handle grief, improve self-esteem, care for relationships, and so much more. Calm puts the tools you need right in your pocket and can help you dedicate just a few minutes each day to live a happier, healthier life. Stress less, sleep more, and live better with Calm. For listeners of our show, Calm is offering an exclusive offer of 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/hadit. Go to calm.com/hadit for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. That's calm.com/hadit. Okay, we want to play a game with you called Had It or Hit It.
Okay, period.
Oh my God. Welcome to Had It or Hit It. I would hit it.
Had it.
Had it. I hit it every day, sometimes twice a day. Okay, Had It or Hit It, social media breaks.
Hit it, because I just took one.
Did you?
Okay,
I have to ask you this. Did you announce to your followers that you were taking a break?
I did, yes. On TikTok specifically.
Did you stay offline?
I did, actually, for 6 weeks. I was very proud of myself.
Oh, I am
Excellent.
proud.
Okay, because we did a whole episode or a whole segment on people that are like, I'm sorry, guys, I'm just going to take a social media break, blah, blah, blah. And then like you see them liking stuff during the said break.
No, I did actually take mine, thankfully. And it was beautiful. It was like the best thing I could have ever done. And I did it around the holidays too. So it kind of made sense anyways. Because I don't really like to post a lot around the holidays. But yeah, it was nice. It was also necessary. I will say too, I think the ones you're talking about too are sometimes when people get in trouble and then they're like, guys, I'm going to take a break. And then they come back after like a day.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Had it or hit it. Mormon talk.
What the hell is that? I would say had it.
You know, the Mormons, have you seen these TikToks? And it's like they go to Brigham Young University and they're like, would you rather kill a puppy or have a sip of coffee?
Yes. Had it. I've had it with that.
Can you believe that that there's we talked about this on an episode last week, that there's a university full of kids that are tortured by making a decision like that, and that it's a real place and it hasn't been shut down. I mean, that just
there's
blows
so
my mind.
There's BYUs all over the place. There's a BYU in Hawaii too. There's BYU in Utah. There's BYU. Yeah, there's multiple BYUs. And I know too, because a lot of some when people are Mormon, not a lot, but like quite a few. I've known some. But yeah, it's shocking to me. It's shocking. I've spent quite a lot of time around Mormon kids, like when I was a kid, like as a teen and as a preteen and young teen, I would say I've spent a lot of time around Mormons. Yeah, it's very strange. And those videos, I think we get it. That's kind of my thing. Like, I'm like, yeah, anything sexual, they'd rather kill themselves. Yeah, we know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't need to see it anymore.
Okay, so
we don't need to see it anymore.
We had a show in Salt Lake City, and so everybody there was an ex-Mormon. This woman told us that she's an ER nurse, and there have been several kids, like it was an outbreak because they would have sex in their elbow joint, their knee joint, armpits. And there was herpes outbreaks in these areas because they didn't want to have vaginal sex. So they got herpes in their armpits, knee pits, and elbows. Fucking crazy.
God.
Just have sex. Just
yeah, at that point, if anything, it's kinkier.
I think it's
it's actually kinkier than just regular vanilla sex. Like that's actually a lot kinkier than you would think. So, I mean, that's just a lot of work too.
I totally agree.
Crazy.
This is why I'm an atheist. All right, had it or hit it, gym bros.
Had it. I've had it. If I had a number one enemy, it's them. They hate me probably more than anybody on this planet. All gym bros collectively despise me, which I call a badge of honor, personally.
No shit. You should be proud of yourself for that.
Yeah.
They're defensive for a reason.
Yeah.
I love that that's your number one enemy, gym bros.
That is my number one.
We've gone over patriarchy, but the number one enemy of Drew are these goddamn gym bros.
Yeah.
And what do they eat? Creatine and
and boiled chicken.
Fucking videos.
Boiled chicken and rice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chicken and rice. Yeah. Like it's funny too, because a lot of bigots hate me too. Obviously, gym bros, the Venn diagram of a gym bro and a bigot is a circle. But I think they're my biggest ops because they were the first group that I truly attacked consistently in the beginning of my TikTok career. They're just so easy. They're so easy to make fun of. They're so easy to get riled up because their brains are so small. So it's a lot easier to get I guess views off them because they're Neanderthals, quite literally they are. So it makes my job a lot easier. You know what I mean? So
okay, Drew, last one. Had it or hit it, the United States of America.
Had it. Had it. I think we've made that clear. I've had it.
Got a lot of work to do here.
Right.
Lots of work.
I know. I mean, I've had it too. And then there's this part of me, I'm 50. I have two sons, one 22, one 18. And there's just this worry, this complete worry as to what's going to happen to this place. And it's overwhelming being an American right now. It's just really overwhelming. And it's not lost on me that as overwhelmed as I feel, that impact is even more so for people that are marginalized. And so we get messages, emails, DMs, and we have a Patreon group, and a lot of the members of the Patreon group are LGBTQ+, and they're really terrified and scared and just feel so much anxiety and sleeplessness. And it's just, fuck, Drew. I mean, it's just I just want to be fuck. Yeah. It just drives me
that's
fucking
natural.
crazy. And then we live around all these goddamn triple Trumpers, and they're just so fucking dumb. I just want to be you're a dumbass, you're a dumbass, you're a dumbass. Shut the fuck up. Somebody go kick their ass. I mean, it's just drives me crazy.
I do want to say though, women like the two of you are extremely essential in times like this. And I say that not to be over, I don't want to suck your dicks too much, but I do want to say that women like the two of you are important. And the reason being, as two cis heterosexual white women, your voices are needed in times like this, because as we've talked about, and as I'm sure you've seen, they don't listen to people who look like me. They don't listen to trans people. They don't listen to gay people. They don't listen to Black people. They don't listen to immigrants. They don't listen to any of us. It doesn't matter how loud we cry, how loud we scream, because at the end of the day, they think they're better than us and they think they're more advanced than us. And so they don't respect us and don't see us as equals. When women like yourselves say the things that you do and hold firm in the beliefs that you do, it matters. It makes a huge difference. It's the same kind of sentiment that happens when someone like myself defends my friend Dylan Mulvaney, right? As a trans woman, when I defend trans people in general, as a cis woman, it matters. It matters that I say that too. It matters that I fight alongside them, just the same way that it matters that straight people fight alongside gay people and white women fight alongside minorities. So I just want to give you both your flowers for that. I think that's imperative that women like yourselves speak up and continue to reemphasize and reiterate all the same things that marginalized people have been saying for years. And it's unfortunate, but it's true that a lot of times it hits their ears differently when it comes from women like you. And so I think it's imperative. And I think the two of you are staunch and steadfast allies. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And I just want to give you your flowers for it. I think it's important. And I'm glad that you both are mothers. I'm assuming you're both moms, but
Yes.
I think that's a wonderful thing that you're raising children that can be different and maybe establish a new world, like when we're all long gone. You know what I mean? I think that's super important. So
I hope so.
You're so sweet. I kind of got chills. That was
I mean,
really,
if-
really
yeah.
sweet. Thank you.
It's really, really
of
sweet.
course.
And it's important. It's really important to me and to Pumps to call out, especially we live in the buckle of the Bible Belt, the white, religious, racist, and nobody is more white supremacist than white evangelicals and groups in mega churches.
absolutely.
And that they claim to value Jesus above everything else. And the fact of the matter is, they value the supply side Jesus, the capitalist Jesus. They value money more than they do human beings. And
what's crazy is
the way
Jesus would hate them. What's crazy is Jesus would hate you, girl. Jesus loved whores, and Jesus loved lepers, and Jesus loved everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Jesus would hate your ass. If Jesus came down here, he would hate you, bitch. He would hate you and he would love me.
I'm ready for the I'm ready for the rapture. Take them all.
Take them all. Bye.
Get them all. Clean house.
Girl, bye.
Jesus, come get all the fucking
Take me too,
racists
shit.
and just fucking take them up. Get rid of them. All right. Drew, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for the compliments. Sometimes we get like, what the fuck are we doing? You know, and I'm sure you feel that too when you're online all the time. It can be toxic and taxing, and it takes a toll, but it's so important for all of the followers that you have and all of the followers that we have, that they see people speak out, fight for them, stand up for what's right. And listeners, you can find Drew on her podcast called The Comment Section, and she has a new book out called Loud. Drew, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. I hope we're friends now.
Oh, of course. Y'all got a friend in me. Period.
Keep trying. Keep at the fuck you brand of politics. That's what we're trying to bring.
I wish you'd be a Democratic strategist, but we'll see.
I know, right? I just go on there and bully them.
Bye, Drew.
Bye, Drew.
Bye. Thank y'all. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too. She is
a 10 out of 10.
I really, really, really like her. And when I am around young people like her that fight for that and have such crystal clear clarity, it makes me hopeful for the future. And it also makes me see what a threat that group, that generation is for the white supremacist Republican MAGA, because she's smart.
She's smart, and there are a million people like her that are ready to fight, that are not going to stand back and stand by, as Trump would say. You know what struck me the most on that is when she said, people don't think they're homophobic or don't think they're racist because they don't say the bad words. That was like an aha moment for me. Like, that makes perfect sense. And I'd never thought it in that basic of a format.
I've thought about that a lot.
Have you?
Yes, because I've heard white people say stuff like, well, I'm just not around black people that much, but I don't use the N-word or anything. I've heard them express that caveat, or I've heard people justify for family members that they don't use this word or that word. I've heard that a whole lot, but I have been actively in a diverse group of people the last 15 years. You've been in a very white, homogenous, Christian, Republican world.
Right.
And the more and more you add some chocolate chips into your vanilla cookie, the better it gets. The more open your eyes become to all of the forms of racism that white people engage in. And to me, the worst is when people are racist apologists. That is the worst, when they apologize for racism or excuse it or don't call it out. That, to me, is the biggest sin of allies.
Absolutely. We got to be loud, especially in Trump's America.
All right, listen, follow us on all the stuff. Follow Drew, and we'll see you guys. Pumps, tell them.
We'll see you next Tuesday or Thursday.
I'll tell you what I've had it with. Let's hear it. I've had it with that.
Listen up, patriots, gaytriots, and natriots. we have a new podcast that has dropped. It's called iHip News. It's Monday through Friday, every day, 15 to 20-minute hot takes on the political landscape of the United States of America, always served with a side of petty grievances.
We are on all the available platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever you get your podcasts, and YouTube.
Please go rate, subscribe, and review so that we will chart upwards with America's greatest legal mind. Pumps, what does an eagle say?
Caw-caw!
A little bit more enthusiasm.
Caw-caw!
That's it. That's
Caw-caw!
That's the patriotism that this country needs right there.